Dear progressives, this video is for the self-defined progressives, leftists, and socialists out there. We have reached a critical mass in the United States. The left and the right no longer have anything in common. We no longer like each other. We no longer listen to each other, and in many cases, we downright hate each other. Many members of each group see the opposite side as the other, not a fellow countryman or countryseer, but instead as an enemy. The ultimate enemy who must be destroyed at almost all cost. Regardless of how we got here, which I have a lot of opinions on, the fact of the matter is that we are here, and when we compete in our popularity contest for president, half the country is going to be very upset. Can we agree so far? But why is half the country so upset? It's because that half must live under the thumb of people they don't like for 4 years. Did you know it didn't used to be this way? It wasn't that big of a deal who the president was because the president was so disconnected from people's lives. The president being a Democrat or Republican would not have a large impact on people. This was how our country was actually designed, and in the last 80 years, we have steadily been getting further and further away from this model. And the further we go, it seems the angrier and more radical people get. No matter what the future holds, no matter what political party is in office, half the country is going to be pissed. And this is looking less and less sustainable. There's nowhere to go moving forward. The divide has become too great. Half the country believes in God, the other half hates God. Half the country thinks abortion is murder. The other half thinks it's female empowerment. Half the country thinks guns make them safe. The other half thinks guns endanger them. Half the country thinks speech should be free. The other half thinks words are violence. Half the country thinks color should not matter. The other half thinks color is the most important attribute. Half the country thinks who you sleep with is your business. The other half thinks it's everyone's business. Half the country doesn't care at all about climate change. The other half thinks it's the #1 problem of our time. Half the country thinks transgender children is ridiculous. The other half thinks maybe we should give them hormones. Many of these differences are core fundamental values. Many of them are mountains to overcome. And keep in mind, the human beings on the other side of this political divide believe in these ideas just as strongly as you believe in yours. They're real people. But today, we aren't even talking about these divides anymore. Any opinion other than the approved narratives are immediately silenced, and the people spouting them are deplatformed and depersoned. They're called evil and pushed out of polite society for being problematic. The window of allowable speech has become very small and excluded millions and millions of people on every topic. Many progressives deny that this is happening, while at the same time exclaiming that it's a good thing this is happening. This is not a good thing for progressives, while at the same time being a good thing for progressives. Yes, this is why you are winning, because the other side can barely speak. But this is the worst possible thing. There is no winning down that road. Let's say you have 10 years and you get all the people in every position that you want. Where does the 60 million people with unauthorized opinions go? They're still there, and they're very, very unhappy. Things are great right now. We are rich. Our people are rich. Our poor people have Xboxes and internet and cars, not to mention television, heat, air conditioning, food, cell phones, and all of the luxuries of modern life. It doesn't take much to attain these minimums in our society. I worked a job for $14 an hour for a long time, a job that took zero education, a dirty, grimy, disgusting job. Actually, I worked a few pretty dirty jobs, and I had it all. I wasn't wealthy, I didn't have much extra money, but had everything I wanted, including a 2-bedroom apartment just by myself, 2 probably 10-year-old cars that had insurance on them most of the time, all the comforts of modern life when doing a job that doesn't even take a high school diploma to get. My point is, if we are at each other's throats when things are good, what is it going to be like when things are bad? People my age haven't had things be bad. People my parents' age haven't had things be bad. But everything moves in cycles, and what is now up will once again be down. And we must find a way for all of us to coexist. Wouldn't it be nice if we could both have what we wanted? I want to live in a place where there is not much regulation. Where if I want to open a restaurant, all I have to do is tell people I own a restaurant and get people to come. No permits, no health department, nothing. If someone gets sick, then they can sue me. If I'm at fault, then I pay for damages. If it's egregious, maybe my restaurant gets shut down. That's where I want to live. You want to live in a place with heavy regulation, where a government inspector comes every week and allegedly makes sure everything is safe. You want to live in a place where your health insurance is paid for. Maybe some of you want to live in a place where your annual income is a monthly stipend from the government. This sounds like hell to me. These 2 distinct idealized places are both okay. They're fine. They're just people's opinions of where they would want to live, and people are different. The left claims to celebrate our differences. On a scale between these 2 places, there's many, many other places too with varying degrees of freedoms and regulations. We can live in a country where you can live the way you want to live, and I can live the way I want to live. And we both can respect each other's choices and say, good for them, but that's not for me. The idea I'm proposing is called federalism, and it has been successfully accomplished in recent times. A small centralized federal government that is only tasked with handling very particular and enumerated issues, and the states all have complete autonomy, well, near complete autonomy, on how they live and govern themselves. Instead of sending 40% of your taxes to the Fed, now you'll send 35% to your state, and your state will determine how that money's spent. You can elect the officials you want to shape the way your state evolves. If Californians want to live in shit and squalor, just kidding. If Californians want to live in a socialist utopia, they can. And North Carolinians can have nearly no social safety net. If Utes, if Utah people want to have multiple wives, they can. It's not a New Yorker's business. Just like if Pennsylvanians want to have automatic weapons, it doesn't concern people in Seattle, Washington. If we embrace this system, then we could all have exactly what we want. We could have the levers of power closer to home, and your representatives will be more directly responsible to the people in their state. And if you don't like the decisions your state has made, you have 49 other options to choose from. What has Nancy Pelosi done for San Francisco recently? How is she fixing the homeless crisis? It's bananas what the people of San Francisco have to deal with. When was the last time she was even asked about San Francisco specific issues? She's not. She's busy traveling to Europe and trying to impeach the president. And maybe you like that. But it is not impacting the people in her district. And it sure as hell isn't helping homeless people in San Francisco. She is not accountable to her constituents. She is not improving the lives, even if her actions do make her constituents maybe feel good. And for the people who say she is ultimately accountable, the incumbent re-election rate is well over 90%, and Congress has an approval rating of 5%. There's some funny business going on with incumbents who play the game and get that corporate seal of approval. Federalism is actually how this country was intended to work. The United States of America. A collection of independent states with a small federal authority to deal with very constrained issues, such as interstate commerce and national defense. I believe this is not the only option we have moving forward, but I believe it would be the best option to respect every individual in the country. If a certain issue is important enough to you, you can move. You have options. The way we are currently, there is only one option, and it is one size fits all. And no matter what, large groups of people are going to be pissed. Large groups of people being pissed is one thing when we have a great economy and the dollar is something that is recognized as having value. But large groups of people being pissed when the times get a little tougher, which will happen sooner or later, this can have outcomes that no one really wants, even if people pretend to want them. The pretending is only from ignorance and a lack of knowing what bad truly is. Ask a Russian what the 90s were like. Ask a Venezuelan how things are going right now. Stop LARPing. We don't want that future. We want to continue to be prosperous. We have to learn to live together or we risk losing everything. I believe federalism is the best option for the most people to not only pursue happiness, but to achieve happiness while respecting one another. If you like my videos, subscribe to my channel. I'd really like to hear what you think about this idea, especially if somehow a progressive or leftist or communist or socialist made their way in here. I hope you made it to the end. I'd really like to hear what you have to say in the comments, and I will respond to you. This is The World According to Tony. I'm Tony, and thanks for listening.